Hi guys, and welcome to Comics and Chill, and today we are looking at Downfall by Inio Asano. But first I'd like to give you a quick reminder to subscribe to the channel, like this video, leave a comment, and also head over to www.tropicocomics.com to subscribe to our newsletter. We won't be spamming you, but there's some exciting news coming up soon. Now back to the comics. So recently I've been really enjoying the manga of Inio Asano, reading volume after volume of his character-driven, depressing stories. And one of his works that stuck with me for a few days, well, weeks now after reading it, is one of his shorter works called Downfall, which focuses on the midlife crisis of a successful mangaka. Now, Inio Asano is probably more well known for his works Solanin and Goodnight Poon Poon, and is currently serializing his sci-fi slice of life series with a very long name, which I'm only going to say once: Dead Demons De Destruction, which from now on I'm just going to call Dead Demon Destruction. Now, Downfall is one of his shorter works, and he worked on it simultaneously to Dead Demon Destruction, and it was serialized in Big Comic Superior from March to July 2017. The story follows Kaoru Fukuzawa, a middle-aged mangaka who has just finished his most recent manga series after 8 years of work. Towards the end of the series, sales have declined and he feels as though his editors and publishers are ready to be done with him and move on and focus on younger artists that are creating more commercially viable, sentimental, lovey-dovey stories and such. As he struggles to come up with an idea for a new series, it becomes clear that Fukuzawa has become disillusioned with the manga industry. He considers the current popular and trendy manga series to be trash. He is married to an editor, and his wife is very busy working with new, younger artists whose stars are on the rise, and their marriage seems to be almost businesslike, with them being ships passing in the night. As Fukuzawa falls deeper into his crisis, he begins to ridicule his wife's work and the artists that she manages. Despite her telling him that these artists are admirers of his work, he actually interprets that as an insult, implying that because artists of a poorer caliber in his eyes like his work must also be garbage. He says he is tired of the industry and always worrying about what is interesting, what sells, and says he doesn't have the energy anymore and wants to split up with his wife, and he actually moves out of his house and into his studio. Now, this whole time since the night that he finished his manga series, he's been frequenting prostitutes until he eventually meets one which reminds him of an old girlfriend of his from university, and he keeps seeing her regularly as he continues down his crisis path. Now, I don't want to say too much more about the story. It's quite short, and I really do recommend this book. I've always enjoyed comics that are about comic creators and the process of making comics. And what was really interesting to me in this book was seeing the manga artist's perspective on the industry and having to, weigh the work that they truly want to pursue with the work that sells, and always having to worry about how they will be doing in the manga popularity polls, and just also how much these creators have to give to be successful. Now, there's no doubt about it, the main character featured in this story is not likable, and the author does nothing to try and change that. Nevertheless, you experience the entire story from his point of view, experiencing his detachment and disillusionment, as well as the feeling of dread that the one thing he has given his entire life to, manga, no longer wants him. It's a very depressing read, and it stuck with me for days after the first time that I read it, and I think a week later I read it again because I just couldn't get it out of my mind. It could be understood as a surface level story, but if you are familiar with Asano's work and career trajectory, there are quite a few comparisons that can be made between him and the main character, with his own hit series Goodnight Poon Poon being critically successful but also declining in sales as the series continued. Asano then switched gears to the more mass-appealing story in Dead Demon Destruction, which he continues to serialize today. There's not really much of a plot to this book, more like you are just drifting through the main character's crisis with him until the book eventually ends, with not much having been changed from the start. and he basically resigns himself to the fact that he just needs to be able to sell books, and what is in those books doesn't really matter. Well, in terms of the artwork, it is absolutely brilliant. Like a lot of manga, he uses manipulated photographs for the backgrounds, which he converts to black and white in Photoshop, and then he adds hand-drawn textures and such over the top to really blend it in with the rest of his drawing, and I think it works really well. It's not a straight-up trace job. I also recently saw that Asano uses Unreal Engine, the game engine, to use 3D assets to help create backgrounds on Dead Demon Destruction, which I don't think he did on Downfall. It doesn't have that feel to it, but seeing the video footage of him doing this, it's really impressive. And also he has appeared on Naoki Urasawa's Man Ben show, where you can see him working on a page for Dead Demon Destruction. I really recommend giving it a watch. His sense of place and setting is incredible, and he has said before that creating the characters' homes and surroundings, like their town, is almost the most important thing, as it can really give a sense of the character without having to use exposition, and that if he knows their surroundings, it really helps him develop the story. His artwork on the characters themselves, it's not as realistic as his backgrounds, but he does have a range of more realistic looking characters to some more cartoony looking characters. But as I said up top, this is a very depressing read, but I actually enjoy stories like this, even if it gives me some sort of existential dread. And I don't want to say too much more about the story without spoiling it. So if you get a chance, pick this book up, give it a read. And that's about all I got for you today. Please be sure to sign up to our newsletter at www.tropicocomics.com. Subscribe to the channel, give us a like and a comment on this video, follow us on social media, and until next time, have a great day.